What's up, guys? It's Gabe from Maker's Help Desk and 10 to Vibe. Today, we are checking out the new Convex Chef. And apparently, us and the chef are going to be cooking today. Chef is a collaboration between Convex and Bolt. You can see that down here in the corner. It says made by Convex, powered by Bolt. Now, I'm super stoked to see this because the Convex backend as a service system is a reactive backend, and it works really well with front-end apps. Just for transparency, I just want to let you know that I am on the supporter program for Convex. So they've given me early access to the program and the platform to try and see what we can do with it. This is apparently still pretty buggy, so that's to be expected with any new application or platform. They're building it with Bolt, so it's probably going to be pretty solid in terms of performance. I've spec'd out the project that I want to do, and I've given it to Claude, and it has gone into great detail. And now what we're going to do is I'm going to copy the PRD prompt that I've created here, which you can see is massive. So I'm just going to copy this and paste it into Chef. The application we're building is supposed to be a content repurposing app, and it's got the basics. It's got authentication, it's got API for Anthropic. The goal is for us to be able to log in and then take whatever content we have, input it into this repurposing workflow, and then be able to add as many pieces as we want to have it repurpose into. The caveat is eventually if you do that, you run out of context window, especially if you're trying to transmit all that through an API, which of course is going to be on an edge function. Hopefully those are working inside of Chef. The bigger problem is, like I said, we're going to have a hard time getting multiple pieces of large long form content to return back to us without hitting the token limit and truncating the message. So what we're going to do is build this and have Chef create this application and have the content returned asynchronous. So that means that we can transmit the edge function and walk away. We don't need to wait for the returns. We want the app to handle that all within the edge function. It just updates the database as it returns the content. So what we're going to do is we're going to set up Convex to store each job that it sends as a JSON B in the return. That's just a way to bulk JSON so that we can put it all in one place, but we still have ways to separate the pieces of content out. It can also be updated live because Convex is designed to be reactive. So you can make changes to database entries and not have to worry about the app exploding in your face. The goal is to have it update the application asynchronous, so that way we can go away and do other things. And what the big thing is that we're not going to trigger an event inside of the application for every return of content, because we're going to ship one at a time. We're going to wait for it and we're going to get it back, and it's going to include an OK signal. Then we're going to ship the next one, get it back, wait for an OK signal, and ship the next one, get it back until all the content has been done, and trigger an email through resend that we're going to program again via edge function API to then create an email to send to us to let us know that the workflow is done and we can look at the content. I've tried to do as much of the front work here in terms of stand up for this content, for this app with Sonnet 3.7, which it will probably do majority of it because of how well the extended thinking works. So we're going to see what Chef is going to cook up with us. The bigger problem here is that Convex is very new, and TypeScript is a massive pain in the butt unless you know what to look for in AI builders. Convex is so new that Sonnet and the other models don't have a ton of ingestion and knowledge on it yet. So what we did is we went over to the Convex website and grabbed the AI docs out of their documentation, and we gave that to Claude and said, make sure that you factor this in across the project so that we don't run into issues coding things incorrectly. So I made sure to integrate that at a base level. We've got our prompt pasted in here. So let's see what this thing does. Holy cow, it took that quick. Look at this. It says cooking. I like that. Okay. Oh, that's the Bolt. That's the StackBlitz native web container. That's awesome. Love that. Okay. So it's got projects. So we can see here that it's coding TypeScript. because we see we see .ts, we don't see TSX files. If we saw that, we would know it'd be mixture of JavaScript and TypeScript. Of course, you never know what you actually get out of the file once it's done. So this looks really good. It's still cooking. What does it say it's doing at this point? Oh, it's multi-file. Oh, wow. It went straight to deploying. Running TypeScript checks. TypeScript failed. I think we were expecting that. We need to create the AI module first. This is huge. I've never seen it problem solve on the fly. However, is it attempting to run 2 different artifacts? That's a problem. As far as I know, this is only supposed to work with 1. So it's still running. I try not to mess with the interface too much while the app is running. I'm sure we're going to get TypeScript errors. And it's also a known bug that if you expand these sections, sometimes it'll trigger a bug where the artifact stops flowing code into the file and it'll start flowing it into the chat. So that's why I never open these. Failed to push to Convex. Okay. I see we need to issue the properly handled Node.js actions. Okay. Maybe it'll solve its own TypeScript problems. You know what I should have done is told it to push them with the verbose TypeScript error. I've done that before to try and get around this because, again, it's just an AI LLM issue. It's not a Convex problem. It's just that Sonnet doesn't have enough information about Convex yet. So we've got our mutations in here. Oh, it pushed. Okay. The app is now deployed, ready to use. Use Sonnet 3. Okay, here we go. So we've got an error here, not authenticated. That makes sense. Do we have to connect this? Help you set up the API key. Server on call. Okay, projects called by client. Okay, we see the database. Okay, we've got all of the good stuff here. Do we have our functions? Yes, we do. We've got our functions. That's good. So I can see here that number 1, it's Claude 3 Sonnet to generate the, that's wrong. Let's see if we can get this error fixed so we can get this to work. Error Convex project, server error not authenticated. We're trying to query projects before the user is authenticated. Yeah, that's a problem. So we've got, I don't think we have any pages yet. Yeah, we don't. So it did all the back end. I'm going to wait for this to finish, and then I'm going to tell it that we actually need pages because it wrote all the TypeScript stuff. Okay. I don't think we have any pages programmed, do we? Okay, here we go. Modify the list projects to return null instead of throwing an error when the user is not authenticated. Let me reload this. So we may have gotten that secondary error because the interface or the app updated before it was ready and it picked up an error before it was done coding. What'll happen is while the artifact is generating and streaming into the file, the system itself still has the cached version of the file before it started writing it. So what ends up happening is that the app will think it's done between moving files, between jumping between file to file, and it will attempt to start. The app's like, it's not done with it. So it's like trying to make 2 different pieces of content and code work together, and sometimes that doesn't work. Okay, we're in chat. Am I cooking yet? Chat, hello? Let's reload, make sure we're still logged in. We are. We can sign out. Good. Reload. Can I sign back in? I can. Okay. I like this. Okay. So we have a project. We've got content types. I like this. Okay. We need to go over to Claude on a 3.7 API documentation. This is what I wanted. Building with Claude, system prompts, system card, client SDKs. User guide, here it is. We need to give this whole thing to Claude. Chef, time for you to cook. I need you to cook up a fix for this API call to Anthropic in our files to actually work with 3.7. Please read this documentation start to finish. And then please fix our Anthropic edge function and also be sure that our app accounts for this correctly. I love working with Convex because making calls super easy to external services and like running functions. The system that they've built, I very much enjoy working with more versus working with Supabase and Postgres. So now, of course, it's gonna find some issues with TypeScript and so on and so forth. And it's still trying to reference Claude 3. The AI.ts is referencing the wrong model. Look at the documentation. Now I have to wait for it. That's still trying to call like Sonnet 3. I'm going to tell it to stop. And I'm going to give it a piece of the documentation here. Let's update the model and add the extended thinking. Okay, smart move. Okay, here we go. Now I see that we've got this updated. And what is the max token limit? That's what I want to know. Budget tokens, okay. Parameters, yes. Seeing redacted thinking blocks in your output is expected behavior. Considerations, temperature top P, input tokens, output tokens, extended output capabilities. This feature can be, okay, this is the one that we want. Here we go. Yes, it does. What? No, the SDK does support extended thinking. This is directly from their documentation. Use this to enable the beta features we need as well. Below is an example API call from Claude's documentation. And so it pushed the Convex changes, enabled extended thinking, proper logging. Did it take into effect the beta output? So betas stream true. Did it enable betas? Yes, it did. All right, this is good. This is good. This is good. Okay, so let's see what we have. Project 1. So what we're going to do is we're going to go generate transcript. We're going to copy it, and we're going to come over here and back into Chef. We're going to paste this. We're going to hit create project. Okay, no errors so far. Dynamically updates that. That's good. So let's do this. We'll do authoritative. Now it's about platform, Twitter, generate. Content generation is started. Let's check the console. Did it ship the call? Okay, so we don't have anything in. So I'm going to come over to database and, okay, function call, execution time. Can we go log? Okay, here we go. Error generating content. This was like 35 seconds ago when I pressed it. So I can see here it's got this linked. So we need to give this error. It says error generating content, Anthropic error logs. And this is why I like Convex. I love this setup. This is super convenient to have all of this in one place. This thing is sick. So it definitely looks like we've got an error here, and it looks like we're not going to get any content back. You know what? We need to put our API key in. So I'm going to take this from the database and say, this is an edge function error on generating content. This is in the Convex logs for generate content. So there's an issue with the headers inside of our API call. So let's modify. Yep, that makes sense. So the beta requires an additional header to be added to the function. So once we get this version working, we need to go in and add the multi-step to make sure that we account for that. And that's literally right now. And what does it say? It says, it takes in the rejections. Oh, you know what? I don't think we programmed our environment variables. Anthropic API Key. Okay. Add Anthropic API Key, save. All right, so we've got this in here now. Let's give this another shot. Let's see what we can get out of this. Okay. Social media post, Twitter, make a Twitter thread, generate. And then we're going to go database. We're going to go back to the logs. Oh, yeah, here we go. Oh, yeah, it's flowing. I love that. That's so sick. Okay, so it says successful. So we probably need to update this to give us the data. So let's refresh this. Okay, so we don't have anything. So one thing we learned is I forgot that we needed to program the edge function API key. Super important. Got to have that. So I'm going to say we need a way to review the returned content. And even though we want this to run async without us being here, we want to open an interface that allows us to see the returns streaming. Right now, the returns are streaming into the console. All right, that's good. They're streaming into the edge function. We can see the streaming returns in the edge function logs. We need our actual to show us the returns. After that, this is where we're gonna add some additional tasking here. So after that, we need to add the ability to send more than one request per, more than one content piece per generation. Remember, we asked for that in our original project prompt. Okay. For some reason, it's like tripling the artifacts here. That's really strange. I don't know why it's doing that. Now it's update the front end to show streaming content. So right now we're at about 35 minutes worth of working on this between these two files. So we've got error, of course. Now it's attempting. Okay, it looks like success. Push to Convex. Here comes the rendering. Okay. Oh, look at that. That's interesting for that to be there. Oh, that was our first. These are our first ones. Okay, so here it is. So now we can actually see it. The blueprint, how to build $1,000 a day newsletter business. So this is a thread repurposed from Greg Eisenberg's podcast transcript that we pasted in here. Okay, yes, let's do that now. This is pretty sick. I like this. I like that a lot. So now that we've got this base level, so like in 35 minutes, we programmed authentication. We programmed with Chef, we've cooked up an app that has authentication. It generates, it'll ship the call to Anthropic, ships it back, and displays it along with the input forms in 35 minutes, roughly. Call it 40. That's pretty sick. Like, Chef is cooking big time. Chef is cooking. Okay, so here, this is one of the problems with Sonnet. So we can see here that it made an adjustment to the app file and it truncated it. Okay, please regenerate the app.tsx. You truncated it. Please remember to always merge changes or generate the entire file. Do not truncate or abbreviate. Oh, I like that. I like the fact is you can see here, that's interesting. I've never seen a platform do that where it reaches in to read it. Did it ingest it? It ingested the whole file. That's cool. I love that. So now it's regenerating the whole file. So that's really cool. I love the fact that we can now see that it's reached out and it's actually taken in the entire file to read what it did wrong. And then it's going to ship back the fixed one. I like that a lot. That's awesome. Listen, this is doing a pretty solid job at keeping itself on top of the TypeScript. And we can see now that like when we first started this, it failed TypeScript left and right. And now it gets them right in either one shot. Please generate a 3,000 word blog post as a how to make your newsletter cook for you. How to make a newsletter cook for you. Okay, so we'll click add another piece. Okay, so we're just adding them in line. I like that. That's okay. Not my favorite for like rough prototype. Sure. Landing page copy. Okay, let's do website and we'll do authoritative. Please generate landing page copy that addresses pain points for solo creators and vibe coders that also want to monetize their newsletters and wait lists. Okay, add another. So we're just going to do 2 for now. Generate. Okay, we can see this says pending. It's streaming. Is it returning both of them at the same time? No way that's happening. No way. It's splitting them into 2 different artifacts. Is that am I seeing this correctly? Hang on. Generated content. Okay, we can see this is updating live. That's really interesting. I'm going to have to ask it if it's generating that from 2 different calls or it's generating from one. But the fact that it's running the artifacts is really interesting. I actually really like that. So it printed the thinking process as well. Is it done? It is. Okay. Please don't make any change. Just respond in chat. When we ship out a multi-content piece call, I can see 2 different artifacts rendering the thought and streaming the content. Are we technically shipping both pieces on the same single API call, or are we running two separate API calls and joining them on return? Ideally, I think that we need to program the content to run regardless if we're present to see the content stream, and it should run the content one piece at a time. Look for silent send more content or something to send the next piece until it's complete, where we append a finish signal of some sort on return. My thought process from this was to prevent the API calls from being truncated and losing the entire output versus only losing one or two pieces versus only losing a single return versus the entire return. Tell me, what do you think? So we're going to iterate with this. Okay, so it says, looking at our current implementation, we're running multiple separate API calls in parallel. Here's the relevant code. Okay, your suggestion is smart and would be more robust. Here's why. Current issue, simultaneous, higher chance of rate limiting, one falls, harder to retry just that piece, higher resource usage. Yep, something goes wrong, we lose all pieces. Benefit of a sequential approach. One piece at a time reduces load on Claude API, better error isolation, can implement retry logic more easily. I like that. Better control over generation of flow, more predictable token usage. Okay, I like that. So it says create a queue in the database for pending generations using a status field to track progress, having a backend check for next piece when one completes, generating a proper state machine, pending, generating, complete, next. Okay, yes. Be sure to not truncate any code or break anything. We should also add something UI to show us that we're transmitting content piece 1, and then it should change to transmitting content piece 2 that can only be triggered if we're doing a new API call. This way, we don't mix up our performance in the app. Okay. So we're coming up on 48-ish minutes that we've been working on this. So it says excellent point about the feedback. So we're going to modify the back end. So it's ingesting the files right now. So it just read the content TypeScript, and it also just read the Convex schema. Okay, so let me outline the changes we need to make. Batch SID, yes, okay. Yes, please use the artifact and make the changes. Don't ask me for approval. There you go. I'm using some things that I learned with Bolt is that Sonnet will just ask and ask if it has a content or a detailed plan in front of itself, and it'll continue to ask. Chef is apparently cooking here. I can see him editing this file here. This is really cool. I'm digging this so far. I like the error iteration. I like the fact that it reaches out and pulls in and ingests the files. That's awesome. I like the fact that it's definitely getting better at handling TypeScript. It definitely learned, and I'm sure it'll continue. Here you go. As soon as I say something, it makes a mistake. It's getting better at that. I like the fact that it auto pushes the Convex dev to push up the new functions into the database. So that's a problem that Bolt has because it was designed to work with Supabase and not with Convex. So you have to manually stop the project and then ship the call or ship the CLI command to tell it, hey, push this up to Convex and sync the functions. And then we have to start the project up again. So here we can see it's finding a couple of errors and it's going to fix them. So the big differences so far is that obviously there's no Netlify required here because I'm pretty sure that this is going to push directly to a Convex Cloud instance. And, oh, I just noticed this. So it says, let's deploy one more time. One more fix needed. So that tells me that it's noticing that it's fixing the errors and they're reducing as it fixes them. So it found we need to export functions properly. Okay, that makes sense. Are we truncating this anywhere? No. but we are, I don't know if we're exporting. Okay, so now it needs to create a migration, preparing Convex functions. There's an error, schema failed. Okay, so need to make new fields optional first, then add them. Yes, that's also a thing inside of Bolt. I remember that. TSC failed, found one error, position queue. I think we're almost there. I like the fact that it streams the terminal into this. Yeah, ship. Yes, there we go. Okay. So that's really cool, dude. It just iterated and fixed itself several times. Okay, so now we have sequential processing of content pieces, each piece processed one at a time. Okay, so it'll create a batch ID, shows them one at a time, shows streaming update only for the current piece, handles errors gracefully, moves to the next piece. Okay, update UI. Okay, fantastic. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to go project 1, and I'm going to say website professional, generate a 3,000 word blog post titled Why You Need to Cook on This Newsletter Strat. We're going to go landing page copy, and we're going to make it authoritative. And we're going to say, write the landing page copy for our service called Cook the Newsletter, and make the entire thing filled with brain rot style meme called like on God and fam and lit and no cat, etc. And we're going to add one more piece. We're going to say, let's do let's do social media post. We'll do Facebook and we'll do casual. Create a Facebook post targeted to mid 30s meme guys that play WoW too much. Generate content. Failed to start content generation. Is it going to print an error down here? No. So let's see what the error actually is. Logs. Okay. So it generated this for all 3 pieces. Okay. So it says object is missing the required field configs. Okay. So 1, 2, 3. This is what I'm going to do as well over here. Copy, because I use a tool here. Okay. 3 convex log errors. We were going to generate 3 pieces of content. We have a mismatch between how we're sending the data from the front end and how our back end expects it. Okay. Love this. Let's deploy changes. Nice. No errors. Oh. Whoa. What just happened? It changed the UI. What the fuck? What the hell? What the fuck just happened? Why did the UI change? Oh man, you changed the UI. I didn't ask you to cook that. You fried the shit out of our app. Please return the UI to normal. Can I attach screenshots? Let's find out. Please give us our app back. You nerd. Chef, cut it out. You apologize for modifying the UI without being asked. Yeah, you better apologize, you jerk. All right. So it's still, what's happening here? Oh, it's still streaming. What happened here? Is it done? Oh, it might be bugged here. Oh, it was ingesting the file. Okay. Oh God. Oh God. Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. Stop. What happened? It got caught in an iteration loop. What the fuck? That's weird. Okay. That's an odd bug. What happens if, so I think you got bugged and stuck. Can you please fix the UI and restart the dev? Okay. So I wonder if that was caused by an image, by the image being dropped in. I wonder if I guess it might not be ready for that. Okay. So it's calling this the workbench. Okay. I like this. We can turn the terminal on and off. That's okay. That's interesting. No, that's not what I wanted, sir. Bro, no, that's not it. That's literally not it. Oh no. Is there a way to, okay, I guess I can turn those. Okay. This looks familiar. Show preview only. Switch to developer mode. Okay, so I'm going to copy this whole thing. This is not what we wanted. This is supposed to be a full screen app. This is broken. Please regenerate our to be a desktop web app. This doesn't make sense. I'm not sure what you were smoking or trying to cook with this. Okay, you're right. Let's create a proper desktop app. I know I'm right. Although truthfully, like this should be broken up into multiple pieces. That's sometimes you have to ask for that, like that specific level of maintainability in your code base. And Bolt does that, Lovable does that, even Replit will do that, where it'll just shoot the whole interface in one file. Hey, let's not do that, please. Wow. Okay, much better. Much, much better. Can I actually, what the actual fuck is happening with this? For some reason, we can see sign in and sign out buttons in what I assume is supposed to be a logged in menu. You should create an auth header wrapper to manage that so our app doesn't try and render login fields after we're actually in the app. I don't know what this thing is thinking. So we're just going to go like this. And what I'll do is I will highlight this like that, and I'll paste it, and I'm going to ship it. Okay, so now it's going to create an, see? So this is a Sonnet thing. Sometimes you have to just say, yes, please stop asking me, use the artifact and make the changes. No, you didn't. Please try again. Use the artifact in the platform to make the changes. It's calling React Node. Okay. TypeScript check. That should pass. Yeah. Okay, that's good. Much better. I'm glad that I understood what was happening. So what it was trying to do was create like a sign in and sign out here. And for whatever reason, it was stuck and it just didn't finish that all the way. I don't know why, but that's AI code for you. And just being aware of the components that typically make up an app, which is like using a logged in user header is pretty common. And those files are usually called things like auth layout or auth header, auth wrapper. Like those are very normal terms, and Sonnet understands what it is you're talking about when you say those things. So I immediately knew that it was mixing the logged in state where the app says it's logged in, but we didn't program the logic to handle the existing login forms that was coded. Should have been hidden, but the logic didn't take that into account. So we needed to tell it to do that. That's pretty normal. So I'm going to say blog post professional. I'm going to go into my tool here and I'm going to say, give me that. And then I'm going to come over here and I'm going to say landing page copy. And I'm going to come back one more time and Facebook post, social media, Facebook, generate content. It says generating. Where did it go? Is this working? Yes. Okay. So we can see the data is streaming. That's fantastic. We should check the actual database. Is it streaming into, it is. That's interesting. We can't see it in the UI. I don't like that. So now we need to ask the UI to also put back the ability to see the content. So I like the fact that it's generating everything. I can see generating. Okay. It's still running. Finish? Nope. This thing is running like mad. Is it finished now? Yes, it is. So we'll go back to preview. Are we done? Okay. We need to modify the app and add a content generation screen so we can see the content in our database. Please create that and reference it in our app. We should create a separate component file for this to keep the code maintainable. Okay. Generated content is what it's calling it. Tastes like sour green apple jelly beans. It's pretty good. Tastes like green. Okay, so we're running TypeScript checks again. Backfilling. Okay. Okay, so we click the project. Holy moly, dude, it just keeps going. Okay, so we need to polish the UI a bit. So we need to create a better way to view the generations for a project without making the massive long page of content. We should create some sort of multi-tab or multi-tab layout that hides the thinking, unless we actually want to see it, and also lets us choose the generations we want to look at instead of rendering them all at the same time, reading a massive list and scroll. This is exactly what I wanted to see. Oh, this is fantastic. Okay, love that. What the fuck? Where did it go? Where did it go? Okay, I'm going to say we need to also, I would like us to click on a project and then select view generations and generate new content. And that action would determine which card would display in the app instead of them displaying the content piece card with the generated content under it. There we go. Okay, so we're rerunning the app. I'm definitely digging this already, and like Chef seems to be understanding what I'm asking for, and I absolutely love this. No, you need to create separate components to code more manageable. Please separate that into multiple components. Okay, like this. Now we're separating everything. And that ultimately makes like the changes that we need to make much easier, because then we only just need to render the call to that component instead of rendering the entire component every time we make changes to the primary app layout. Okay, very good. Fusion, awesome. Yes. This is really solid. So we can see here that we failed early on. So here's our why you need to cook on this newsletter strat. And it looks like it prints the thinking process down the bottom. Okay, interesting. Okay, why newsletters are your next money move in today's digital landscape. God, that tone is horrible. Level up your income. Okay, dude. So we're at 4.5 with Cook from Convex. So we started with just an idea, and I fed that to Claude, asked it to make a PRD and include the Convex docs for the rules for generating with AI. And then we came back in here, we gave it the prompt, and now we've iterated and we've gone back and forth. So like you can definitely cook with this app, because let me tell you, this has been on my to-do list since I started with Bolt back in October to get this app built for my own internal workflows. And this thing put this together. Granted, it's got a few quirks, and like we had to train it on how to handle things and do certain things. And that gets better over time the more that Convex builds Cook out. I love this. Can we click deploy on this thing? And where is it going to go? Let's find out, because I genuinely don't know. Okay, view site. Where does it push to? So that tells me, so let's see. Gabe, easy enough. And we're pushing right to the Convex app system and deploying apps right on there. You guys should look out for this thing, because I just went through iterations that I know for a fact with Supabase and Postgres that I would have had a really hard time with. And the fact that it spun that edge function up insanely fast was fantastic. I absolutely love this. Does Cook actually cook when it comes to vibe coding? Yes, this thing cooks like mad. It will cook you a 3-star Michelin chef meal, as far as I can tell, just judging by where it's at now and where it's going to be. This thing might actually change the game. And I'm so stoked for this.